I think I want to know what my legislators are planning when it comes to the idea of ending your life. I mean, there's a good, the ethical argument is that it doesn't really get much bigger than this one. We have Kim Ledbetter, the Labour MP, claiming a majority of the public want to legalise assisted dying and kind of using that almost as a reason why this is important. I did note as well that there was a YouGov survey that revealed 73% of British adults believe in the principle that assisted dying in some form should be illegal. 13% said it shouldn't. 14% were unsure. And I think I'm probably in the 14%, although I'm grateful to Peter, who sent this message. This is nothing to do with public support, everything to do with it being right or wrong. The public support capital punishment. Kim Ledbetter would never bring that forward as a private member's bill, and that's a really good point. MPs, talk about representing the desires of their constituents. I'm not absolutely sure how far they go with that. There's a lot of desires I think constituents have that many MPs, particularly those in the Labour Party, wouldn't go anywhere near that. Can you imagine, say to Kim Ledbetter, there's a lot of support out there to stop the boats coming over from Kish. Wouldn't go anywhere near that legislation. So you have to be kind of, I think fairly honest about why this is coming forward. The terminally ill adults end-of-life bill is what it is officially called. She says it's clear that public opinion is very much in favour of changing the law. She said it may not be that surprising that most people believe, as I do, that we should all have the right to make choices and decisions we want about our own bodies. She says, let's be clear, we're not talking about a choice between life and death. We're talking about giving dying people a choice of how they die. They've been debating this, or they will be debating this. 5 hours have been put aside. This is interesting, slightly unusual on a Friday as well. So it's a thorough debate. It's how it should be. I don't know whether 5 hours is enough time for members of Parliament to truly kind of hammer this one out. There is so much to it. I do believe, however, that and I know those that support this bill are ready for this question. They always go, no. If you go to Oregon, where apparently this the particular proposal in our bill almost reflects, I'm told, word for word, what has happened in the state of Oregon. And apparently there's been no thin end of a wedge moment where people have gone, can we just widen the parameters for this assisted dying thing so you don't have to actually be like dying? You might kind of think you're going to be dying in a year. That's the danger. I absolutely believe that is a clear danger to this one. Where do you take this? Mental health, I think, as distinct from physical conditions, terminal cancer, Parkinson's, any incurable disease where you're on the perpetual decline, you can kind of see those arguments around that. If somebody gets to a state of complete immobility, if their quality of life is zero, perhaps even in a fair amount of pain, if you get to it sort of makes sense. When you get into the mental health side of this, then I think that's probably the area where I put the handbrake on a little bit on this one. And I have to say, I'm really not sure. I don't know how that would work. If somebody said, look, my mental health is in such a state that it's not a bit of anxiety. But where do you draw the line on that one? How would you decide if somebody's mental condition was so bad that they descended into a pit of perpetual and irredeemable doom? They were never going to get out of this thing. Would that person qualify for this? They might argue they would do. And where's the measure for the next person that comes along, who's not quite as bad as the last person? So I think they're the kind of reserves on this one. There's obviously a couple of interested areas or interested groups that I think would be interesting to talk to on this. And that's you. If you've been in this position with your own family where somebody within your family unit would very much have liked to have had this choice, and their condition was so terminal, so awful. And by the way, you have to be terminal for this to be, as it currently stands in this proposal, If you've been there and watched what you consider to be a completely inhumane demise of a loved one, which could have been avoided had a terminally ill end-of-life bill been in place, then I'd love to hear that side of it. 0344 499 1000. If you come at this from a religious perspective, and I think I'm bound to say that most people of a religious persuasion who are practicing, of whatever faith, I think most faiths have the same view on this. It's similar to it kind of divides up in the same way that abortion divides up. You know, I think you're either for or against, and we can debate the nuances all day, but broadly speaking, you're for or against. I happen to be part of the 14% that is neither. I don't honestly know. Maybe at the end of this debate on this programme, we will have some clearer answers.